Well. Ohio State decided, hey, we know what we're doing, and everybody that wants to talk crap about us, cry like a little baby. And Michigan didn't change and actually looked to come out of the box pretty slow this week and more, or this and more on this episode of 30-Minute War. Well. All I gotta say is, I freaking told you so, baby! Nah, I'm kidding. I actually did pick against Ohio State to win.
Yep.
There were things that had happened last week heading into the game that we will get into later. What a win, baby. I am still riding high off of this victory.
Oh.
Wow. And you know what? Oh, my goodness. I never thought I would say this, but there are outside of you, there are actually logical Michigan fans out there that agree with me that Ohio State and Michigan, as much as Michigan fans hate Ohio State, deserve to both be undefeated heading into the game because it just makes it that more awesome. Now, granted, it'll be the last year of that, but overall, I think we saw a lot out of Kyle McCord, and Kyle proved, hey, you and everybody out there that has doubt of what I can do, because I don't usually run, because you think that's kind of a factor that's going to get you, because you can beat these prolific pass beaming QBs. Hey, you ain't seen nothing yet. Now, I know I've been pretty hard on Kyle, and it's because, you know what? What have we really seen out of Kyle McCord? Not a whole lot, honestly. And he played darn near a perfect game. He only had 8 incompletions? It was 25 of 33 or something like that.
Yeah. 21 for 37. So yeah, he had a lot of yards though. He had 240 yards.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's insane. And just, I don't know. All the different reactions I've seen, people punching walls, putting holes in their walls over the fact that Ohio State won. People throwing their cats out of their second-story window. People just lighting stuff on fire over being so mad that Ohio State won. It's finally college football season, and it's awesome to see. Granted, I can't say the same for you because you still ain't played anybody.
Oh, just wait. Let me know when it's my turn.
Go ahead.
So, what happened on Saturday is the best possible scenario for Michigan, period. And I'm going to lay out why. Number one, Notre Dame isn't a top 10 team. They're probably top 25. Number two, Kyle McCord did enough to keep his job for the whole year. That's great for Michigan because I still say that Devin Brown would be tougher to defend against on what he brings to the table with his legs and his versatility than Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord has now sewn up the starting job for the season, at least as far as I'm aware. 240 passing yards was probably enough to nail it, and they won the game. But as we all know, the last 2 plays of the game, Notre Dame had 10 personnel on the field. And you still almost didn't get the touchdown. Buckeye Mike, you are about to get shellacked at the Big House. You're going to get shellacked. Brian Day at the end of the game had to say how physical the team was, and let me come at Lou Holtz because he was saying all this stuff about Ohio State, and it's Ohio against the world. He's going to fight an 89-year-old man. Well, let me tell you something. Broken barrels make the most noise. That's a saying I've said a long time. What that means is when the guy who has the giant pickup truck with the LED lights underneath, he's strolling through with the obnoxious noise, there's compensation going on. When someone is the loudest in meetings, there's compensation going on. And when Ryan Day has to keep saying how physical his team was when they almost didn't get the touchdown with 10 personnel on Notre Dame on the other side of the field, let me tell you something. When they go into the Big House against pretty much the same people that they lost to last time, we're talking about Junior Colson. We're talking about Chris Jenkins. We're talking about Will Johnson. We're talking about Mikey Sanders still, who, by the way, had a pick six interception this last game. Not terrible. Congratulations for beating I would call it a mid Notre Dame team. Not the best I've ever seen from Notre Dame and not the worst I've ever seen. They're okay. They're better at quarterback. They're better. They're pretty good at defense, obviously. Offense, still not anything that blows me away. Estime's good, not great. And Sam Hartman is better than Drew Pine. But that's not saying much.
Is he though? I mean, Arizona State almost beat USC. So, I mean, with Drew Pine at quarterback. So
he's a little better. Based on let's say the Drew Pine from Notre Dame from when he was at Notre Dame.
Okay. Because I would say in defense of Drew Pine, even though Arizona State, I think, slightly has better receivers than Notre Dame did when Drew Pine was at Notre Dame.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll go with that. There might be some commenters who want to debate that, but I'll go with that.
Yeah. Speak of the devil.
Hey, Golden Playbook. Look, you guys won almost the whole game, but your big-brained head coach decided to put 10 personnel on the field.
Honestly, guess what? I didn't even realize it was 10 personnel until after the game. And they said, yeah, it was 10 personnel. Because guess what? We were going to the left anyway because that's the weak side.
Yeah.
All you had to do was load the box on the left side of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, I love Marcus Freeman when he played at Ohio State, but the dude's got some figuring out to do as a head coach. You cannot – I mean, I understand that you didn't want to take the penalty, but Marcus, you dude, it's half the distance to the goal. It moves the ball like 3 inches, if that.
Take the penalty.
Take the penalty, bro.
Doesn't matter at that point, yeah.
And I mean, we're talking about, the difference between Emeka catching the ball at a bad angle so that he doesn't lean over the line, and my guy, Chip Trainum, looking like he didn't cross the line before his knee touched, which I heard a lot of uproar over because he did cross the line before his knee touched. But a lot of people don't fully understand the concept of football. Now, I'm not saying that we don't or our viewership doesn't. A lot of people don't understand, guys, when you score a touchdown, the tip of the ball, you're talking about like that much of the ball has to break the outer line of the goal line. It doesn't have to clear the goal line. It's like putting your hand through a waterfall.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because I think that that this was a battle of two head coaches that both were trying to hand the other team the game.
Yes.
And there was one play call. And Ryan Day says he's still calling plays, right? And eventually he's going to hand it off to Hartline. What was that 4th and 1 play where
the stupid end around?
The end around on 4th and 1, like getting too cute for your own good. If you want to show how physical you are, ram it in.
Yeah.
Ram it in or do a quarterback sneak. What's going on?
I don't know. I didn't like the call. I screamed at the TV. I said, Ryan, you're a freaking idiot. And I said right after that play, I said, you know what? If Notre Dame wins, see, that's the problem with the game is being this close. I accept the fact that we got outplayed by Michigan the last 2 years. But between Georgia and this game and calling the jet sweep around the edge, dude, I understand, and I can come to terms more with, okay, Michigan straight up outplayed us both times the last 2 years, but the play call doesn't make any sense to me because Notre Dame should have won the game hands down.
Yep.
14-10.
Yep.
Kyle McCord has some things to still work on because, as the chat's pointed out, some of those throws, like that throw across the middle when Cade Stover was running the post route where it bounced off of the defender's hands right over Stover and almost was picked off again. I mean, oh my God, you've got to learn where your windows are, which is why I think to a degree you're right. I think if McCord does have a bad game, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go with Devin Brown at some point. Because here's the thing. If we lose to Penn State, Brown could still win the job. I don't think the job is on lock as a lot of people think. And I just some of the play call, I swear, Ryan, dude, we loved the freaking fired up dude that coached against Georgia. Where is that guy at? I mean, to your point, QB sneaked the ball on 4th and 1.
Yeah. You want to prove Lou Holtz wrong.
Yeah. The defense's weak side is the left side of the line. Just snap the ball and lean to your left. It's not that difficult. I understand. And the thing is, too, I understand, like, okay, Marvin is the top guy.
Sure.
And he's, number one receiver. Dude deserves to get all the catches possible. But, I mean, we're just loaded and stacked at receiver, honestly, if you ask me. I mean, yes, Marvin's head and shoulders above everyone else, but our receiving core is one of the better ones in the country.
Yeah.
And I understand we want to get Marvin the ball. But, dude, if they are constantly tugging and whacking on Marvin,
yeah,
I mean, I understand his dad was great, and he's almost as good as his dad, if not better, honestly. Sometimes he can't catch the ball. I mean, yes, I get the whole, he's 7'11". They're open all the time.
Not when he's getting double covered, and like Igbuka's plenty good on like 13.7 average per carry, 96 yards. Igbuka's good. Cade Stover, I've said he's one of the better tight ends in the nation. Maybe up there with Brock Bowers. I mean, he's really good. And Colston Loveland, like I think that they're all in like another class. You've got a very reliable tight end that you can throw to, and they did some. He got 52 yards, but yeah, he's old reliable,
Yeah, and it's like, okay, their second touchdown Notre Dame scored. They got lucky in a sense, because if you watch the replay, I forget what his name is. Number one, the corner number one, or the defender number one. The receiver basically ran up, faked the corner route, and came back and ran the post. And when he faked out the corner route.
Mm.
The dude just fell over. Like, no.
Javante Jean Baptiste.
Yes. Dude, you've got to learn to properly distribute your weight, because it looks like he didn't even really fake him out. It just kind of like he made the cut too fast, and so Baptiste couldn't cut back for the coverage fast enough, and he just fell over. And I'm like, oh. Because the other thing that didn't make any sense to me was, where was Sam Hartman throwing that freaking ball? The dude had to literally jump all the way up.
Oh, you were talking about an Ohio State defender. Sorry, I was looking up Notre Dame's defenders. But yeah, no,
like, where is Sam Hartman throwing that freaking ball? Because the dude had to literally jump up, cradle it, and he freaking came down on his back. I mean, the dude was so wide open, bro. Sam, all you had to do was just, he was still going to catch the ball.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. So I think this, like I said, I think this is the best possible scenario for Michigan fans.
People think that
Kyle McCord's going to keep his job at least for a while, and the O-line to me doesn't look amazing. Your defense looks better. So you guys are at 8.5 points per game for the opponent, which is second only to Michigan. But still, that's really good. So, I mean, I think your defense has taken a step up.
I do think so, too. I think there's still a lot to improve on. And if Ryan and this defense and this team is as serious as they say they are for that game on November 26th, yeah, we're going to need to see a lot more improvement. I mean, you're going to have to step it up against better competition. But there's only one other better competition left.
Yeah.
And it's Penn State. Well, now that we've talked that to death.
Yeah.
Michigan beats Rutgers at home in their final home game in this 4-game stretch to open up the season. Michigan does what Michigan does, comes out slow. Rutgers gave him a heck of a first quarter.
Sure.
JJ made a couple mistakes, more than we've seen all season. I think he threw, 3 interceptions?
Oh, no. JJ, no, not – you're thinking of Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. JJ, I don't think he threw any picks, no.
My mistake. And essentially – shuts down Rutgers for 3 quarters. Luckily, Rutgers doesn't have enough of an offense to be able to go 4 quarters. So they pulled an Ohio State. They just pulled it after the first quarter, not the second.
Yeah. So let's break this game down a bit, which I did on Saturday for Michigan Post Game Live. Yesterday was mostly Nebraska talk. So if you want my breakdown with Jason Moose. We were on Saturday and we gave our takes on it. But JJ looked a lot improved. He did get a passing touchdown. He got 214 yards, 15 for 21. And he is number 1 in the country for completion percentage. Number 1 quarterback. Blake Corum is tied for number 1 in rushing yards in the entire country. And, again, I know that the competition hasn't been elite, but Rutgers did come in with the number 19 ranked defense in the nation. They're not a complete pushover. And Schiano, you remember Schiano from Ohio State. He's tough and he creates physicality. So at the end of the day, this game was a classic Michigan. I would even call it domination when you started getting into the second quarter. keep a couple of things in mind, Buckeye Mike. One is that we had players coming back from injury. Will Johnson is coming back from injury, had a little bit of rust. So he and even Sanders still wasn't perfect in the beginning of the game. Obviously they whiffed on a touchdown. That was taken for Rutgers. That was their only score of the entire game, and then Michigan goes to score 31 unanswered. We got with Will Johnson obviously coming back. There's on the offensive side of the ball, you had questions about the O-line because for whatever reason, Miles Hinton was still in at right tackle, even though we've been screaming on Michigan Wolverines Live, and I've said on here, you got to put Ladarius Henderson at left tackle, you got to put Carson Barnhart at right tackle, and then you use Trente Jones as the sixth guy. I don't want to see the other guy anywhere near the starting position until it's time to put the backups in and Michigan is up by 30 points. I don't want to see him. I'm sorry. We have 3 extremely, extremely talented tackles, and they should all play. And you know that Jim Harbaugh runs a lot of 6 lineman sets anyway, so Trente Jones can see the field a decent amount. So with all that said, and yeah, Jason's saying it right there, Hinton needs to be benched. He does. He's terrible. And he got beat. He allowed JJ to get, I believe it was a sack. So he got sacked because he wasn't able to beat his guy. And when Ladarius makes mistakes, it's not as devastating for whatever reason. Like Hinton, when he makes mistakes, it's costly. And why put him out there when you have 3 tackles who can do the job? I don't get it. So they did finally make the adjustment in the third quarter, where they finally did listen to Michigan Wolf. Somebody on staff listens to Michigan Wolverines Live because we had musical chairs head coaches, and then they literally took our exact O-line prediction and then went with it starting in the third quarter. So somebody's listening to the show, I think, because it's getting scary now.
It's getting scary now.
But 31 unanswered is pretty great, and obviously from a team perspective, it was statistical domination in total yards, 415 to 257. Passing yards, it wasn't as dominant, 214 to 180, still decent. 201 to 77 rushing. We had higher yards per play, more first downs, more third down efficiency, more fourth down efficiency, more total plays, less punts, fewer penalties. I mean, you look at every, and then time of possession. This was the big one, Buckeye Mike. This was the big one. Michigan had the ball 36 minutes and 8 seconds. Rutgers had the ball 23 minutes and 52 seconds. Michigan controlled this game with the classic Jim Harbaugh crushing 12-minute drives, 12 plays, run the ball, throw a little, maybe JJ runs on the perimeter for a couple yards, you mix it up. Flea flicker was in there. But that's Jim Harbaugh football. That's Michigan football. That's what we do. And the whole goal was to keep Rutgers defense on the field as long as we could. And we kept Rutgers defense on the field for 36 freaking minutes. So therefore, mission accomplished, because we tired their defense out and started scoring more as the game progressed. So I thought it was a great job. Are there things to clean up? We're about to face Nebraska. Are there things to clean up? Yes. But I'm not, I think we're in a really good place as a team.
Yeah, so as far as this game goes, can I just say, having this job, this channel, and I use heavy air quotes around job because this will not make you a living. I try to be down the middle, especially for, like this show and everything. So if I had to clear my mind of every bias, I would say this is the most dominant performance from Michigan that we have seen. They have had some struggle moments. I love the depth that we have on the Michigan defense. I would almost say that the Michigan defense is probably tied with Ohio State as far as the way it stacks up. If not, it's 1 and 2.
It is 1 and 2. It's so Michigan has 5.8 opponent points per game, which is first in the nation, and Ohio State is 8.5 for second in the nation.
There is so much depth on the O-line that you could actually rotate every player, or not O-line, on the D-line. You could actually rotate every player at each position and it would still be dominant as it is, in my opinion. I think there's still a lot to work on.
Sure.
As fans of the teams that we are, I would think that as far as the biased fanatic side, I would think that we would like to see, something along the lines of 45-0 every week, unless we're playing Penn State or Michigan, or technically each other. I would say you probably have seen the amount of production you're going to get out of JJ every week now. You're basically seeing it right now. Because if this defense can hold up the way that it has against better competition, do what they've been doing against better competition, then honestly, I don't like saying this to a degree. I think Michigan got jibbed last week. Michigan should have came into this game as the number 1 team in the country, if we're being serious, because Michigan had a better week the week that Georgia played South Carolina. I think after that game, Michigan should have been the number 1 team, because they have shown overall, all around, between Georgia and Michigan specifically, Michigan is the better team. Now, argumentatively, the depth, which is where I was coming from, I think is almost equal. I think, maybe Michigan didn't get the number 1 spot because, I don't know, it's nitpicking and Georgia still won. So, I mean.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that they give it, if it's on the fence, they give it to Georgia because they won the last 2 national titles. But statistically, Michigan is the better team. You look at pretty much every metric, especially even on defense, which is their big thing. Michigan and Ohio State are both higher in scoring allowed. And let me I want to show to go over this because this is amazing. So, and I understand, look, I get that the quality of opponent, I get it. Not great, but Georgia's wasn't exactly great either, right? So just to show you, Michigan's this is every series in the first 4 games. I'm going to go really quick. This is what Michigan's defense allowed. This is what resulted from the Michigan defense. This is what the other team put up thanks to the Michigan defense. Punt, interception, punt, missed field goal, punt, turnover on downs. They made a field goal, punt, end of the half, punt, downs, touchdown, yay. Punt, made field goal, punt, interception, And it keeps going like that. There's a lot of the word punt. It's insane. And I'm very, very excited for the only game that scares me is Penn State. They looked really good. I still don't think I'm still not quite sold on their offense against better competition. But I will say that, listen, Iowa's defense was on that field a lot because Brian Ferentz is a menace to offense and probably the worst offensive coordinator in the history of football. And so that it showed because the line wasn't getting push. Play calling was terrible, just so uninspired, so shitty. And Penn State capitalized on it the way that they do during a whiteout if you don't bring your A game. But Penn State looks good. Their defense looks really strong. So they scare me. They do. Ohio State doesn't. Based on what I saw, I think we're gonna rail them by worse than we did last year. I really do. I think it could be because JJ hates Ohio State because they told him, oh, we're cool on quarterbacks, and then they go get Kyle McCord. Okay. So he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's going to be slinging that rock to CJ and to Roman Wilson and Tyler Morris and Samaje Morgan, who, by the way, he had a great touchdown, NFL level touchdown. Samaje Morgan with two defenders on either side. It was such a rope. It was such a window, and he had to make that play. And he did, and it was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I just wish some of these guys played on other teams so I wouldn't have to feel disgusting for liking them.
Yeah.
Because, dude, Blake Corum, I mean, don't get me wrong, Donovan Edwards is great, but ain't nobody, including Edwards, got nothing on Blake Corum. Blake Corum is the dude.
Yep.
JJ, I give him props. The funny thing is, I have to hate or dislike JJ, but JJ is my type of quarterback. He's a Justin Fields style quarterback. Sanders still, oh man, that dude. And it's like I don't know if it's Jackson's fault because of the whole. Did you see number 0? Tate Stover had that touchdown and he ran over and said, "Yeet!" I'm like, bro, if you guys
had to be in that exact spot in that exact moment, or that was a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, like, see, that's the thing. Like, most of these guys, like, don't get me wrong, Michigan produces talent, especially next level talent. Like, okay, Ronnie Bell's gone. I love Ronnie Bell. I do not have a problem saying that because he is gone.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to matter once they leave.
He's looking good at the 49ers. He's looking good.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Moody, he's also at the 49ers. 99th pick overall, highest for kicker in 7 years.
The funny thing is, the fan base was mad at him during the preseason because he couldn't hit a thing.
Yeah.
Now they're like, yay!
He's 9 for 9 now, so it don't matter. It's the season.
Oh, one of my absolute favorites plays for my Cleveland Browns. DPJ.
Oh, yeah.
DPJ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anything, Michigan's staff didn't work him like they should because that talent was obvious, and I don't think they put him in the right positions. And obviously, you see what he's done with the Browns. He's, taken over for Jarvis and as the first wide receiver. So,
which is shocking because the Browns suck historically, anyway. Well, speaking of coaches, Lou Holtz,
yes,
6-year-old man,
somewhere around there,
who has to be suffering from dementia,
possibly,
decided on the Pat McAfee show on Friday, you know what? I'm going to start some crap.
Yeah.
Because that's all I know how to do. And you know what? I blew it off, honestly, not because I'm in denial of what he was saying. I blew it off because, as Mark stated, he always, if you go back and watch everything related to Lou Holtz, he always defends and praises Notre Dame. And I get Lou Holtz coached at Notre Dame. That's cool. You won one national championship at Notre Dame. You did nothing else good for the school.
Yep. Well,
I mean, okay. Ryan Day has been to the playoffs 3 or 4 years already. He's played in a national championship. He's played in technically 2 national championships.
Yep.
In a sense. I mean, we all know Ohio State, Georgia was a national championship.
I would call it a pseudo national championship.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Ryan Day is 49-6 as a head coach at Ohio State. And the only reason people are saying the 2 magic words is from losing to Michigan 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing. I'm going to touch on this just slightly.
Okay.
Everybody is thinking, what's up, Mike? Everybody's thinking that Michigan's got this in the bag because Kyle McCord. Well, let's jump back into the time machine. Does anybody remember 2017?
Oh, God. Why are you bringing that year up? Oh, God.
Because what if, now it's all speculation and probably wishful thinking. Mm-hmm. What if Kyle McCord gets hurt going into Michigan? And I didn't have time to write this, waiver up that I wish injury upon no one.
Sure.
I wish injury upon no one, but let's just say if something happens to Kyle McCord and he gets hurt Michigan week, so he can't play the game, and now you have to go against Devin McCord, which you don't have a game plan for.
They will. They'll have a game plan for both. If that's the scenario and they know it.
Well, but the thing is,
the game. Yeah.
True, but the thing is too, if you remember, JT got hurt in I think pregame or at halftime.
Roughly halftime, because I remember he played, but he was stinking it up, and then obviously Dwayne Haskins comes in and does very well.
What if we see a repeat?
Rest in peace.
What if we see a repeat or something similar?
Oh boy!
And the thing is, before you go, the thing is, if this were to happen, the only way that it repeats the same way is if Ohio State is close to Michigan at halftime.
Oh boy. Okay. So let me begin by saying that, remember, Lou Holtz is not the only person Ryan Day was upset with or upset about. This notion that they don't have physicality has been around since Michigan surprised everybody in 2021, because at that point it was a surprise that Hassan Haskins runs down their throat for 5 touchdowns And then I think that broke the team in some ways, because then in 2022 at Columbus there was no snow, there was no flu, it wasn't cold. Okay, all the excuses from the previous year, I was even starting to believe it. Like, okay, this might be a fluke. Okay, no. Then JJ comes in. So not only does Michigan have the physicality advantage, but they were trying to stop the last year version of Michigan. But now we have a quarterback that can throw the ball and throw a deep ball. So for a third year, now we're getting into 2023. Almost all the same personnel that won 45-23 is back. Okay. And I think both lines, as long as Ladarius is on the left and freaking Carson Barnhart's on the right, on O and on D, and just looking at the team and looking at the fact that you could barely get it in with 10 personnel on the other side of the field to end that game. The physicality thing is real. And the reason Ryan Day is pissed is because he knows deep down that he's in for a third beating. He knows that his team, he knows deep down that his team isn't as physical. And listen, he has built the team to be a finesse team to win national championships. Lincoln Riley's done the same thing. Other coaches have done the same thing. And it almost worked against Georgia. Ohio State was winning for most of that game until MHJ goes down. So I think in some ways it's worked, because they almost won the I mean, if they had won that game, I think they would have beat TCU by a lot closer margin than Georgia did. But I think they would have beat TCU, and they would have been the national title. They would have won a title. So, in some ways, it's by design that it's like this. But you have to sacrifice something to gain something else. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unless you're Georgia and you have every 5-star on the planet and you can do everything, you got to pick one. Are you going to? And so Ohio State, their talent is where? Wide receiver. Okay.
It's mostly on the offense. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there is some talent on the defense. Like, shout out to my boy Lath and Ransom. He's a freaking beast. But yeah, main point is it's mostly on the offense, like USC.
JTT, another one.
Oh, yeah. Sawyer.
Yeah. Jason. I mean, I think he knows deep because, like I said earlier in the show, broken barrels make the most noise. And when somebody has to say, we're physical, when someone has to say, I'm the alpha, or when someone has to say whatever, they're actually not the thing that they're saying they are. Okay, this has been shown throughout history. Mm-hmm. And so the way that Ryan Day is so butthurt over what an 86-year-old man had to say. He wanted to fight him. He was saying at the post-game interview, he's like, where is he? Like, I want to see him right here. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to fight a geriatric man who's at the twilight of his life, and he's right, and he doesn't. And Ryan Day doesn't want to talk about the fact that he's gone 0-2 the last 2 years against Michigan.
I think he doesn't want to because he knows, and he's trying to see. I think the thing that people are overlooking, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. And whether it's a factor of McCord goes down and Sawyer comes in, replicating 2017, or whether it's – because here's the thing, okay, who the frick, rest in peace, who the frick, coming into 2018, who the frick was Dwayne Haskins? And I mean, seriously, no one had heard of Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
What does he do? He explodes onto the scene in 2018 like I've never seen before.
Jason.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
I don't know what was funnier. The dude that interviewed Holtz was dressed up to look exactly like Holtz, somehow figuring out how to talk almost just like him. I don't know if that part of it was funnier or if Ryan Day's response as far as, what's one thing you've learned about your team? Toughness. We are tough. Like, bro, calm down. Don't show the world the PEDs you're taking or the steroids that you're taking. Don't, look at me. I'm masculine. I wasn't born on third base. Bro, you're Jim Harbaugh 2.0, bro. Shut up.
He was born. This is the whole thing. The third base sticks because it's true.
You're valid. Yeah, that was my point. You're validating the third base BS by saying all this crap. All you had to say was an Urban Meyer style response or a Nick Saban style response. I heard what Lou Holtz said. I'm not worried about it. We got a really good team. I like the performance we had, and there's still things to improve on. Lou Holtz is a nobody anymore because he ain't around coaching, so he's irrelevant. I don't really value his opinion. He's a good person, but that's it. That's all. That's the gist of all you had to say. Not even that extent. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I understand Ryan was fired up, but he sounded like Trump in the sense that he was he just
you went there.
He didn't think about what he was going to say before he said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what anyone outside of the Woody Hayes athletic facility says about the team. Can we get this right?
Yeah.
You're just validating this whole, Michigan lives rent-free inside the head of Ryan Day. Well, guess what? Of course he does, because he ain't been able to win a national championship. Because guess what? If he – shut up, Moose. If he –
they're both geriatrics.
Yes. Yeah, I'll agree with that. If Ryan Day would win a national championship this year, because the thing is, if Ryan Day loses to Michigan, you're getting this whole us 3 years in a row. When is this two special words going to come up? Well, guess what? I don't think they will. And I think Ohio State fans, if that's the case, I think Ohio State fans have to deal with it because ain't nobody out there to replace him yet. So the thing is, honestly, at this point, lose to Michigan. Make the playoff and lose to Michigan, make the playoff, and win the national championship, because that's the only thing, in my opinion, that's going to save Ryan.
I think you're also going to lose to Penn State. I hate to tell you.
I think that defense is going to hold Penn State, but we will see.
Yeah, Penn State's defense is really good, and I don't know if the O-line is going to be able to handle it. But, you never know. But I could talk about third base Ryan Day all day, but we still have one more topic.
Yes, we do.
Michigan at Nebraska. For full coverage of this, including John Johnston from Corn Nation, go over to Voice of College Football Michigan channel, and we did about an hour and a half of discussion of this. But I will say that Michigan is going for its first road game of the year to Nebraska. J.J. McCarthy was quoted today as saying, he loves to go into opposing stadiums. He loves the hatred and the
okay,
booze.
Tom Brady, shut up, buddy.
Dives on it. Because remember what they did in the Wisconsin jump around in 2021, and JJ was on that team, and he goes into the opposing stadiums and he feeds off the energy. So you look at Nebraska, their defense is okay, their offense isn't, but they do have a quarterback that can run. So we talked about kind of the keys to the game, and Michigan's favored, I think, by 17 right now. And so I think it's going to be that I think I predicted 34-17 because like it feels like at 17 it'd be a push. But at the end of the day, like I think their quarterback, if they run the ball, Harbaugh, actually, I watched almost every play he was involved in the last 2 games, and when he breaks off for a run, he can beat the defenders. He can take it off. And to be fair, he was going up against teams called Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech. To be fair, but that type of ability does translate to a lesser extent against better defenses. So Michigan has historically had problems with running quarterbacks. And so you got to watch out for that. Even Adrian Martinez in 2021, that was a close ball game. If he was a slightly better quarterback, Nebraska would have won that game in 2021. So you got to watch out for running quarterbacks. They run the option. It's not easy. But Michigan, if they do what they did against Rutgers and they have the same game plan, long punishing drives, force Nebraska's defense to stay on the field and be on for 36 minutes, they're going to win the game. And they're going to win, I think, like I said, 34-17. People who are predicting 50, 60-point victories, remember, folks, the clock rules really suck when it comes to huge victories like that unless you get a ton of turnovers. So you're going to see a lot more games that are dominant wins, but it's like 34-10 or 45 to at most, because there's just less time. There's less opportunity to score.
Yeah.
So I expect it to be, like I said, 34-17. And yeah, Minner has the one thing Minner struggled with, like I said. I mean, Minner and Mike McDonald both running quarterbacks. So we'll see. Is he going to go and prevent cover? I mean, he will somewhat. He likes doing it. But I think he should adjust, because even Wimsatt was running a little bit. He was, I think, the top rusher on the Rutgers side. If I look at the stats, yeah, Gavin Wimsatt had 1 more yard rushing than their top running back, because Michigan did such a good job of neutralizing Kyle Monagai, who I think is their best player, that they had to go to the quarterback run. So yeah, like I said, if they do the same thing against Nebraska, it's gonna be a open and shut.
Yeah, I know I've been trying to hype up Nebraska, but I just don't see it, because unless you're TCU, there's no way to account for J.J. McCarthy. I don't see Nebraska pulling a TCU, and Jesus criminy.
He just keeps going. I love it. This is the rivalry right here.
Oh yeah. Be careful. Ryan Day might shove him somewhere else. Be careful, Moose. I'll admit it was a front. I mean, I want to see Michigan get tested, and I just don't know if they'll get tested at all. I mean, here's the thing. I don't mean to veer off completely, but to you, all the Michigan fans in the chat and all the Michigan fans that may watch this later on, I think it's safe to say you cannot call Michigan State little brother anymore, because Michigan State just doesn't even exist. You get 2 bye weeks this year. Michigan State has been officially kicked out of the state of Michigan, and they have Michigan in their name.
Minnesota looks like it could provide a little bit of a test. I will say that. Maryland looks like it could provide a little bit of a test. But yeah, Penn State and Ohio State are the two. And it's the same with you. Now that Notre Dame's over, it's really Penn State and Michigan. So that's the Big Ten East for you.
Thank God it's the last year of the Big Ten East.
Yep, and we're going to go to no divisions, and we're going to go to the best two teams every year. So
yep,
Michigan.
And guess what? It's likely to be Ohio State, Michigan.
It could be Michigan, Ohio State, back-to-back weeks, and more than once every decade. I feel like at least maybe 2 or 3 times every decade, Michigan and Ohio State are going to be the final.
At least, yeah. And as far as that goes, I mean, I just, going back to Ryan Day's comments of moving the game, I understand what he was saying now. Yes, Golden Playbook, Sparty. Oh, you're asking Mike for it. Yeah, Sparty sucks. 100%. Easy dub every year.
D'Antonio back now, though, as a special advisor.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to hire him back, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the only thing at this point that could save the program. Oh, you did it once before? We'll overlook everything that happened before that got you fired. Why don't you just come back? Here's a ship full of money.
Yeah.
Because money makes happiness. I would say play out the 2020s, and if our verdict is correct that Ohio State and Michigan would play in the Big Ten championship more often than not, yes, I think Ryan Day is onto something. Move the game up the schedule just so you're avoiding the same game 2 weeks in a row, because it's not fair to the winner and it's not fair to up the schedule. It doesn't matter with the whole not being fair. As far as this game goes, I know I keep veering off. As far as this game goes, Michigan's going to just run away, I think. You said the spread's 17-8. Will easily cover the spread. And you know why? Because you will see J.J. McCarthy become, for another week, part Tom Brady, part Michael Vick, because that's what he is good at.
Yeah.
More power to you. Everybody believes in their own stuff. I think this feeding off the energy in the stadium is a bunch of BS, because when he does his stupid little meditation thing at the goalpost, there's like nobody in the stadium. So what are you feeding off of? You look like an idiot.
Well, that part's more like, the before
getting into the zone kind of thing.
He has to get centered. Yeah. JJ does his thing, and it works for him, and good for him on that. So
he is never coming back. I wish he would, but he's never coming back.
Yeah, he's not. He's good, and my guess is he's done after either this year or next year. He's probably done.
If he doesn't die on the sidelines, or just have a heart attack or something on the sidelines, because
hopefully not.
No, I hope not. I'm just saying, I don't know what's more likely to happen first. He has an incident on the sidelines, hospitalizing him, or he retires. I would hope he's smart enough to know, like, you need to hang it up and soon.
So I did also want to mention, I do think Donovan Edwards is going to be utilized more in this game now that they've got the line, I think, solidified finally. I think Donovan Edwards is going to be utilized more in the run and receiving game. They'll do reverses. They'll do.
Oh my God.
So, wow.
We'll see more of Jabril Pepper style of Michigan offense through Donovan Edwards, I assume, is what you were going to say.
Yeah, I just think he needs to get his carries, he needs to get his yards, and I think maybe he's lost a half step from the injury, or he's still nursing a little bit of something. I don't know, but I mean, Blake Corum looks great. And I'm so happy he came back. I am so happy because we would have had Donovan Edwards as the primary back, and he doesn't look like a primary back at the moment. So I hope that they get him out in space and get him some more. Yeah, they've used him on the out and hitch routes. They've also used him as a spy, or not a spy, a decoy on quite a few play designs, which I think has worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
So, they did it with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards at various points, using him as a decoy. So it just keeps coming, man. It just keeps.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Moose, if you would clean up the wording, I could actually put stuff on the screen.
Yeah, we probably, yeah.
I need to be more careful what I put on the screen.
But anyway, I know we've gone to more of a 60-minute war on today's episode, but I think it was worth it to kind of really call out some of the silliness that was happening this past week. Ryan Day needs to just keep it in, like you said, coach speak. Just Lou Holtz, I have a lot of respect for him and what he did. National champion, great. We're on to our bye week. On to Cincinnati, right? As Bill Belichick famously like to say, on to Cincinnati. Just we're moving on. That's all he had to do, and it would have been, nobody would have said a word. But it just was so silly.
I mean, like I said, I understand the whole caught up in the emotions, but I mean, you need to act more. I can't believe I'm saying this because I despise him with all of my guts, but you need to act more like Bill Belichick or Nick Saban.
Nick Saban, yeah. I have great respect for Georgia Southern, and they run through our ass like shit through a tin horn, and we just could not stop them. Couldn't stop them. And this is Georgia Southern, okay? Alabama runs through Georgia. Alabama destroys Georgia Southern, but he always is respectful to his opponent. And the same is true when this type of stuff comes up. But sometimes he will say something like, hey, that rat poison was really yummy. But that's as far as he goes. And Ryan, he's got to, don't say your team is physical. Prove it on the field. Don't run a 4th and 1 jet sweep.
Yeah, that was stupid.
8 personnel and just ram it in.
And like I said, everybody wants to talk about they won on a run against 10 personnel. Unless you were right down at that end zone, I'll tell you this much: nobody, including me, and I paid very close attention to the screen. Nobody, not any of the 10.5 million viewers, and I think it said it was up to 14.2 million viewers by the time that play happened. None of us noticed that it was 10 personnel. Nobody. So I think saying that's a scapegoat, but I think, they're not a scapegoat. It's an excuse. But if you were there and saw it, you're one of the few.
Yeah, but I think that the defense, the defensive coordinator, the head coach should probably be paying attention to and usually you have someone up in the skybox too. You have one of the coordinators or analysts or somebody's up above, and that's where you communicate using the headset. You communicate down and be like, hey, we got to fix this really quick because Ohio State's going to freaking score. Take the penalty. For God's sake.
And the stupid thing was there was a guy running onto the field and Marcus Freeman stopped him. We don't have any timeouts left. We can't afford to take the penalty. Just stay here. They'll get him. That was dumb.
Yeah.
Hey, Golden Playbook, you should be careful. You haven't won a title since, so you don't have a whole lot of room to talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to close this out, I think Michigan will win with ease. I think they'll cover the 17.5 point spread or 17-point spread. I think it'll be, like you said, so I think Michigan's average is 34. So if you can get close to the 34 or be able to have a defense good enough to hold them under the 30, like 30 to 35 seems to be right now where Ohio, oh my gosh, not Ohio State, where Michigan, it seems to be landing every game. So I think this offense can definitely score. I think it'll be 34 to 20.
Wow.
Michigan.
Almost very close to mine. I like it.
Actually, that makes Michigan not cover the spread. That's my bad. Yeah. I mean, Nebraska has an offense. I just don't know if I have enough faith in Sims. Sims is not the guy that Nebraska needs. I mean, you know what? To Mike's point, I could be completely wrong. It could be 34 to 10. I don't know. I just hope for a good game. That's it.
Yeah, and like I said, Mike, I think the reason it's 17 is because of the running quarterback. I think he's a better running quarterback than Wimsatt based on the film I watched, and he can throw the ball. He's actually a pretty good player. But the question is, again, it's going to be a line question. Are they going to be able to hold up against Michigan's defense, which is number 1 in the country right now in terms of scoring? So,
well,
I should remind everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So the other shows I do. So we've got. So the next show will be Michigan Post Game Live. Saturday after the game with myself as well as my colleague Dre Artis. So that's Saturday. It'll be after the game. Monday night, I do the Ocho, which I wasn't able to do this Monday, but I will be back for next Monday to do the Ocho at 8 p.m. Eastern for Big Ten Live, where we have our community panel that we do. And then now, new time, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, Michigan Wolverines Live with myself. And usually Tanner Wooten stops by from Blue by 90. Nelson will try to make it as much as he can with the new time. Nelson Hubble from Maize and Blue Review. And we'll have a rotating cast of characters coming in as well, talking about Minnesota and talking about the future teams as well. So stay tuned to all of those things. And John Diadamo on Twitter. So.
Yeah, so you can find me right there on Twitter. That is my handle. Before we go, I have one recommendation, considering that most of our fan base, at least for this show, is Michigan fans. I've recently stumbled upon a Michigan football podcast called In the Trenches with, ironically, host John Jansen. So that's another John. It was pretty good. They interviewed Mike Sandersill, so that's kind of why I was like, oh, Mike, dude. So yeah, I definitely go check it out. Go give them a follow. I think it's on the Varsity Network. So and it's linked somewhere on YouTube. I shared it, so it's definitely on my page somewhere. Cool. So yeah, give them a check out and stay tuned to both channels for things to come this week.
Absolutely. Go Blue, everybody.
Go Bucks. Boo the blue. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.